into account. So I thank you. I thank you for your testimony, and now I turn to Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Secretary, great to see you again. It was great seeing you at DCA last week, and had a chance to chat with you there. I wish I'd have seen you when Congressman Boss and I were on our never-ending journey to try and get out of LaGuardia last night, but we didn't get a chance to do that. But it's always good to talk transportation, and we appreciate you being here today. I would mention, I was going to ask you about the policy on using bipartisan infrastructure law resources to build a better America that Chairman DeFazio asked you about. I hope you were pretty clear in your response to him. I hope that clarification is given to our states, because there's still some confusion. We have them reaching out to us, wondering what your intention was. So thank you for that clarification. But moving that out to the states would be beneficial too. IJA also includes my provision I helped craft here in the House, the One Federal Decision Act, and that would streamline federal environmental reviews, as you know. I've talked to Mayor Landrieu about this. Many of my colleagues are worried about getting those dollars out the door. You can't do that without streamlining the review process. What's going on there, the deadlines, including for consulting agencies regarding categorical exclusions. Can you please update me on implementing One Federal Decision?
Thanks. Yeah, we recognize the importance of a swift and prompt process as things are going through, especially federal requirements on permitting. And as the earlier exchange highlighted, that's even more important in an environment with inflation adding to the consequence of things taking any longer than they have to. With regard to the consulting that you mentioned, our department got to work right away on that. It effectively allows one department to engage in other departments' categorical exclusions when they qualify. So as called for in the legislation, DOT completed a review of our categorical exclusions. We found 4 areas where we could collaborate with other departments, accelerating the process on projects, especially that are helpful with things like post-disaster resilience. And that's, of course, just one of the requirements pursuant to the One Federal Decision provisions in the law. We are committed to making sure that we address all of them.
Sure. I would envision, if the majority changes here in the House, any legislation that is passed into law would likely have more environmental review provisions like One Federal Decision. So implementing it with IJA now could be a barometer in how you do it in the future too. Mr. Secretary, Amtrak has laid out some ambitious goals. Last year, it released a Connect US plan that outlined a 15-year strategy for expansion that would, according to it, connect dozens of city pairs. Of the corridors mentioned in its 15-year strategy, are you aware that any are ready to move forward and be put into action?
So if I'm recalling correctly, the corridors are laid out in such a way that some of them are an expansion of service on existing physically constructed lines. Others would require more work. I don't have handy the timeline of which could be ready by when, but my understanding is it's a mix of things that could be done relatively quickly and things that would take more extensive work.
So when you say relatively quickly, has Amtrak or anyone at your agency done any environmental reviews for some of these proposed routes?
So depending on the route, we'd have to see if it would qualify. I think often it could qualify for a CE because it'd be along existing right-of-way, but I don't know that we have gotten as far as any new right-of-way being proposed and ready for an EIS or something like that.
So if you don't have new right-of-way, you probably haven't reached any agreements with landowners on any of the proposals?
I haven't seen it advance to that level yet.
If you have, will you get back to, have your team get back to us?
Sure.
Also, I know you get lots of letters of support for the RAISE grants. Clearly, I know you think mine are the best. So I want to just remind you of a couple that I've sent to your agency. The city of Decatur and Macon County has a Brush College Road and Ferries Parkway project. Springfield, high-speed rail project between Chicago and St. Louis. Springfield has done a great job in leveraging federal resources to actually combine 2 tracks into one in and around Springfield. They have 2 more usable segments, 1 RAISE grant and 1 MPDG grant application. Terminal Rail Association of St. Louis with the multimodal freight yard expansion in Venice, McLean County, Route 66, bike and pedestrian trail, And in Edwardsville, we have the Goshen Road and Liberty Trail multimodal transportation improvement projects. I will get you a list of those so you don't have to write them down. I'd appreciate your consideration and any updates. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Since we have votes on the floor of the House, the committee shall stand in recess, and we will return and start again as quickly as possible.